Hello everybody, my name is Ivan Khan. Can you guys hear me all right? Okay. So before I begin, I wanted to thank everybody for coming, and it's really my honor to speak to everybody on behalf of Global Sources and thank them for inviting me to speak today. Today I'm going to be talking about how to launch $1 million crowdfunding campaign. So before we begin, I wanted to introduce myself. My name is Ivan Khan. I am the founder of Crowdcreate. We are an LA-based crowdfunding agency. We call ourselves data-driven growth marketing agency because we look at everything, especially with crowdfunding, we look at the data side of things. Data doesn't lie. It's not an opinion. And a lot of times with crowdfunding, people think that they have a great idea, or they believe that they have a great idea, or they hear from their best friends, hey, this is going to be the next big thing. But our approach is a little different. We look at the data and the metrics. So when you do launch the campaign, you're more confident that it will be successful. So just to begin, I wanted to give a little background. So I've been coming to this show for the past 3-4 years. Hopefully some of you guys recognize me. I walk all the booths. I don't know if you guys do the same, but I literally will walk every single booth when I come. And in 2014, 2015, nobody knew what crowdfunding was. Nobody. So I was constantly explaining what crowdfunding is. A lot of these manufacturers, they're just starting to learn what it is now. I think in the past 2 years, I would say around 70% of manufacturers and people I talk to know what crowdfunding is. So I wanted to start from the very, very basics. Let's walk through what crowdfunding is. All right, so who here has launched a crowdfunding campaign? Can I see some hands, please? I see some of you guys. Who here is a buyer? All right, some buyers. Who here is a manufacturer or exhibitor? Nice, thank you. So all of these groups of people could benefit from crowdfunding, okay? In the past 3 years, we've launched 35 campaigns, raised over $10 million, and that's really a testament to the partners and people we work with. A crowdfunding campaign is only so much. It really comes down to the execution, the factories, the people behind the vision and the creation. Our agency is really an amplifier. We take great ideas and make it better. On the right, you can see some of our campaigns that we've launched. Hopefully they're familiar. We have at the top right, you see there's a Reolink Argus. They raised over $1 million in 45 days. MochaCam, we're working on their 4th campaign now. They've raised probably a total of $2.5 million US. Now each one of those campaigns is a maximum of 60 days. So that's a very, very fast way to raise money. Snore Circle, that's another Chinese manufacturer here. I actually met them at the show. Charge Tech, then Charge, and as you see, Dot Headset, we raised $700,000 through the Indiegogo campaign. You see a lot of those here. So crowdfunding is a fundamental shift in how ideas and projects are brought to the market. In relation to businesses and products, we're seeing the time it takes to bring your idea, your ideation to market shrink considerably. Previously, it takes a lot of time. Like if you have a great product or a great business idea, you'd have to write a business plan, you have to pitch it to investors, you have to grow your initial market, and you could waste six months to a year testing a product that isn't very successful. Am I right? A lot of the manufacturers here understand it takes months to do tooling, a lot of money, upfront costs, before a distributor even touches it. So crowdfunding is changing things because you can iterate. You can launch a project on Indiegogo platforms like Kickstarter, and in 60 days, you can validate if your product, business, is a success. You're going to walk away in 60 days with potentially $1 million in pre-orders. So you haven't even finished your first You haven't even finished T1 samples yet, and you've already got orders, right? That's fundamentally changing things. So on the right, you can see some of the campaigns, names that might be familiar as you walk around the show. But all of these companies are either have run a campaign or looking to run a campaign. So, there's a lot of excitement out there. I wanted to just share the basics before I dive into what really runs a $1 million campaign. So I'm going to run through a series of steps because this is when I walk around the show, I'm constantly explaining the steps to running a crowdfunding campaign. So I'm going to run through them very quickly for you guys. The first two, ideation, prototyping, this is the bread and butter of the show. Everybody here has ideas, and people have the ability to manufacture and create them. So that's not a problem. Where we come in is the creative side, telling your story. Everything from video assets to graphic design. You have to present your product in a way that people are interested in buying. The way crowdfunding campaigns work is you raise your money for your product potentially months before you even ship it. So everyone is essentially pre-ordering because they like your idea so much, okay? Similar to when you guys watch a movie and there's trailers and there's sneak previews, all that adds to the excitement when you launch your product. And that's the pre-launch, okay? That's when you get people excited about it. You get people to share. We do something called a referral viral system where you can get people to share with their friends and family and they get an early discount. So it's really playing on the excitement, getting people to talk about it and share. Then comes the campaign, which is between 30 to 60 days. In those 30 to 60 days, you're getting PR, you're getting bloggers to talk about it, you're getting people to review it. All of those things, I call it the perfect storm. If you get enough people to talk about it and share it, you're going to have a very successful campaign. Then it goes into mass production and fulfillment. So all of these steps are critical points to crowdfunding. You cannot launch a campaign without them. There are a lot of sub-ideas that I would like to share with you privately, but overall this is the general idea. So what makes a successful campaign? I get asked this every single time I talk to a factory or manufacturer or product designer. Everybody wants to know, how does a campaign go from 0 to 1 million when 90% of the campaigns only reach, let's say, 100,000 or even less? It's 2% of campaigns reach over $100,000. It's very hard to reach 1 million. So I actually will break it down into three categories. The first one is your product. You need to know your product. Walking these halls, I speak to so many manufacturers and designers, and they don't even know their own product. They think that it can work for everyone, right? This is a really common way to design a product. You want to get as many people to use it as possible. But there's a fault here. If you don't know who wants to use your product, you won't be able to sell it correctly. So messaging is key. Another point is that your product needs to be special. In the world of open tooling, in the world where everybody has a tablet, you need something that differentiates it, and you need to focus on that differentiation. For the reason, when press and media, when they write about your product, they're not going to write that it's just another power bank. They're not going to write that it's just another notebook. They're going to write that this is the first notebook to feature ABC, right? So product differentiation is key. The second point is story. I can't stress how important this has become. In the past 5 years, crowdfunding has really grown from idea. A lot of people are talking about it, and it's an exciting place, but now it's matured. So people are only supporting campaigns that have a compelling story and team. Let's say 2 years ago, you can launch a campaign about the world's smallest Bluetooth dongle. But now, people want to know who your team is. They want to know why you're a credible company to develop it. They want to know that you're actually going to bring it to the market. If you're familiar, and everybody here is from, I guess, from Hong Kong, there are a lot of companies which have made a lot of buzz around not delivering their product. I see some smiles out there. But they'll literally raise $1 million and they'll disappear. You know, crowdfunding has gotten to that point where people can smell a scam. People can smell a lie. So if you're thinking about launching a campaign, focus on your story. Finally, promotion. Promotion is key. You cannot launch a campaign and just think that it will be successful. You have to run strong promotions, either Facebook ads, Google ads, you know, Reddit posts, social media. There are so many projects that go on crowdfunding every single day. If you're not buying ads, it will never be seen. It's just a numbers game now. There are so many new projects out there. You must allocate budget to make it known. Finally, if you don't have what it takes to hit those 3 points, find a partner that can. There's so many really strong agencies out there. I think there's some right on this board right here. But the bottom line that you look for is that your partner needs to be as passionate as you are. I can't tell you how many times I've spoken to clients or other agencies where they failed to do or execute a good job because they simply aren't excited by your project. Okay? So if you're going around talking and looking for partners, look for someone who understands and loves your product. All right, so since we're a data-driven company, I wanted to share with you some of the metrics behind some of the $1 million campaigns that we've run. Just from that initial board, you know, MochaCam, Reolink, Argus, Obsidian 3D printer. Across all these $1 million campaigns, we've seen certain metrics that kind of follow the success, and I wanted to share that with you here. This doesn't mean that, you know, you must hit these metrics to reach $1 million. I'm telling you this based on our best practices, this is what we've seen. Okay? So the first one, 30% of your goal is reached within the first 48 hours. If you don't get that initial momentum, your campaign won't reach $1 million. That's just flat out the honest truth. The second point, most of these campaigns take between 3 to 5 months of preparation. I talk to a lot of manufacturers. They say they want to launch a campaign before the holiday season. Yes, great. But no, you're not going to have enough time. You know, you have to grow organically. People aren't sharing with their friends just because. You have to get them excited about the project. For example, if I told you the iPhone X is the best phone and you should buy it tomorrow, the first thing that you're going to do is look at other phones on the market. You're going to check the specs. You're going to check the price. You're going to see the coolest cell phone case at global sources. You're going to do your homework, and that takes time. If you don't give them those 3 to 5 months to do the research, if they do the research when the campaign is live, they're not going to buy it in that 60 days. Okay? So that preparation is key. On average, we see $1 million campaigns get email lead acquisitions less than $1. If you're familiar with running pre-launch campaigns, for those of you guys who have already launched crowdfunding campaigns, during the pre-launch, you're buying ads to a landing page. That landing page is where you get their emails. People, if they're interested in your product, they'll sign up. Okay? And we've seen the best campaigns, that cost per lead is less than $1. So just off the bat, if you're in your pre-launch process, take a look at those numbers. If it's not less than $1, maybe you need to revalue your messaging. Maybe you need to change your graphics. Something needs to be changed. Okay? There's always an audience for everything. You just have to find them. The next point, email direct marketing. Everybody here calls it EDM. It's basically when you sign your email up, let's say you're interested in a product, you're going to get emails. You're going to send them emails about it to get them excited for them to share. So we look at the data behind those emails, and they tell a lot more than just open rates or who's looking at your emails. They give you metrics that you can predict the success of your campaign. Okay. We see every time you send an email, 30 to 40% of the people receiving those emails will open it. That's when you know you have a good idea. People are very interested. The second metric when regards to EDMs is the 10 to 15% click-through rate. This means that when they open the email, they're also clicking on your link. They're finding out more information. What that tells you is that your customer, your potential customer, really wants your product. Okay? And finally, this is the most surprising metric that I share with all of our campaign creators. Your campaign should change between 50 to 100 times during the length of a campaign. A lot of people are wondering, what's the change? Everything from graphics. Sometimes people like lifestyle, some people like product focus. We do surveys with your backers and we find out which is the highest conversion rates. So maybe the world's smallest tagline is the best one, or maybe the world's most advanced is the correct tagline. Everything should be tested. Your campaign should be constantly changing to what people want. Okay. There are a lot of tools that we use. If anyone is in the process of running a campaign, I suggest Typeform. Typeform is a free survey tool that you can easily send and collect data from your backers. So everybody wants to raise $1 million campaign. Not everybody knows how challenging it is. I've been on the other side talking to my clients, and when you reach $1 million, things really hit the fan. I can't tell you how hard it becomes. So what I want to share is, be ready. It's great to get there, but once you're there, you better be ready to support it. The engagement. For every 10 backers, you can expect one question. If you don't answer that question within 24 hours, your comments can go from negative to sour to terrible if you don't control it. I see some smiles. I don't know if that means you run campaigns before, but literally, if you don't control your comments, you can turn a successful campaign into a really negative campaign, and then people are dropping out of your project. Okay? So be ready. If you reach $1 million and you get, let's say, 5,000 backers, you should be ready to answer 500 questions within 24 hours. Okay? That's just a statistic that we've seen across our campaigns. Customer support. You're going to be asked every single question you can ever imagine. Why is there a product just like it on Alibaba? Why is your factory making another product under another ODM, another brand? You need to know that the people you're reaching through crowdfunding are enthusiasts, and they want answers. So be prepared. The final point is be prepared to grow. A lot of these campaigns, the success, if you raise $1 million, the second campaign becomes $2 million. So constantly adjust your business plan to the success that you see on your crowdfunding campaign. And I'll give an example at the end. 2 of the campaigns that we've launched that reached $1 million, MochaCam, Reolink. So you guys can look on Indiegogo.com. They're both there. You can see the number of comments. You can see the type of video that was made to reach that number, and even the kind of engagement. Look at their social media accounts. Look at their Facebook. So my final point is listen to your customer. So many campaign creators, they're so focused on pushing their product out that they miss this opportunity to gain a lot of the feedback from the backers. That feedback can make your product a better product. That's why we call it crowd creating. And as an example, there's a very famous one called the Pebble Watch. In 2012, they raised $10 million. 3 years later, they listened to all the questions concerns and problems of the first generation product, and they brought it back in 2015, and they raised $20 million. That's a big number, and what they did was they listened to their customer. Even if you're running a campaign for the first time, and a lot of campaigns do not succeed, those people signed up for your product. Ask them why didn't they buy your product. Find out what were they looking for that you didn't deliver. All right. So those are some of my ideas and experiences I wanted to share with you, and I hope that was helpful. My goal here is to educate everyone a little bit about crowdfunding, but also to share some of the challenges and some of the things I've learned working with a lot of these $1 million campaigns. Are we good on time? So at this time, I wanted to open the floor to any questions. My website is over there, crowdcreate.us. If you have any questions that you want to speak to me privately, come up and meet me. I can give you a business card of my email. But at this time, let's open it up. If anybody has some questions, comments, I'll answer within 24 hours.
Hey, thanks for the introduction, and good to know more about your business. Just to ballpark, I mean, you talked about a couple of these $1 million raises that you've done. Is there a typical budget or ballpark budget that you need in advance? You say it takes about 3 months or so. Obviously, you've talked about cost of acquisition. I'm sure it's different for each business, and you can reduce the cost. But what's the typical sort of initial investment that these businesses that want to raise need to have up front?
Thank you. That's a really good question. And I get that one a lot too. So really, it's really about finding really strong partners here. So some partners were willing to take a percentage, so that will off the back. So that will dramatically decrease your upfront capital that you need. But at a bare minimum, if you're working on your own, you need everything from video, graphic design. From our experience, you don't want to do a budget video. If you look on crowdfunding, a lot of these are like full-length cinemas, right? They're really, really amazing. We've seen on average $10,000 for the video, a 2.5-minute video. In terms of ad budget, you should allocate between 10 to 15% of your goal. So if you want to raise $1 million, budget 10 to 15%. That's on the high side. I'm just giving you a conservative number, but if I tell you that your return on ad spend is a 10, meaning $1 you spend, you get $10 back, you're going to spend as much as you can. There are even companies that are going to give you microloans if you can show them this ROAS. To answer your question, so there's a video, about 10K. Pre-launch, we recommend between 5 to 6 grand for the email acquisitions.
Okay.
If they're $1, less than $1, you should get about 5,000 emails. That's kind of it in the hard costs. Again, it depends on how much you bring to the table, but those are the ones that we see most people don't have on their own. Okay, so 10 to 15,000, and then 10 to 15% for ad spend. That's a really honest, conservative answer. Yeah, any other questions?
I'm sorry, the figures you mentioned is in Hong Kong dollars, right?
US dollars.
US dollars, okay.
Yes. So to add to that point, there are a lot of creators out here, a lot of companies, video companies. If they know that it's an exciting product, they will jump on the back end, meaning they're willing to take a percentage and invest their time without an upfront capital. So really, pitch them your idea before asking for a cost.
Hi, you talked about your data-driven marketing agency. So can you kind of explain a little bit, how do you use data to help your marketing? Do you have like a data bank yourself? And how do you usually work with your clients? Say if I come to you today, I have a project I want to launch. How do you involve with me?
Yeah, so good question as well. When we say data-driven, it's all the data across all boards. So analytics data, Facebook ad data, Google ad data, all of those dashboards, I believe in full transparency. You, as my client, will get full access to everything. You can see what ads I'm running, what ads are doing well, what's the return on ad spend. I believe that we're not just launching a 60-day campaign, we're launching brands. We're launching companies. That data is important to you. The other part of the data is when we survey these backers, we ask them, what's your favorite tagline? What's your favorite picture? What's your favorite feature? So I literally construct your campaign and your video around what people want. You know, the days of revealing, you know, Apple's like, here's iPhone 10, you guys like it? That's done. That's the old day. Now it's, if 90% people want that headphone jack, you should put that headphone jack back. Right, am I right? Does that answer your question? I can talk a little more, you know, analytics, pixel tracking, all of that. Instead of buying ads on clicks or views, you buy it on conversions. You can do all that with the pixel now. Yeah.
Any more?
Would there be any benefit to launching a crowdfunding campaign on your own website versus something like Kickstarter or Indiegogo?
Yes, and to cut to the short answer, you can launch it on your own platform. You very well can. It's very easy. There's actually WordPress themes that allow you to create your own crowdfunding campaign. But when you use platforms like Indiegogo and Kickstarter, you get access to their network, to their community. And those are millions and millions of users. For example, on that Real-Link campaign, one email newsletter brought in close to $100,000 in conversions in a single day. And that's the power of these communities. So it's really up to you. If you have a strong community behind your product, if you have a strong following on social media, you know, be my guest. 100% you can launch it on your own. But a lot of these companies, they don't have that existing customer database to pull from, then go with these platforms. And they're very good platforms.
Any more? So if there's more questions, you are very welcome to ask Ivan directly at the floor. So give a big welcome and thank you, Ivan, for your speech. Thank you.
Thank you.